A lot of beginners wait to start their manga because they're waiting to be on the same level as their favorite mangaka. But one of the best-selling manga of all time proves you don't have to wait. Attack on Titan's early artwork has been criticized for years. The anatomy is sometimes rough, the faces can be inconsistent, and even Hajime Isayama himself has admitted he wasn't the strongest artist when he started. So if the artwork wasn't the reason millions of people fell in love with Attack on Titan, what was? Today we're looking at why Attack on Titan became a phenomenon, and why it's one of the best examples of what beginner manga artists should be studying. Before we start, I don't actually think Attack on Titan has bad artwork. I think the art succeeds at what it's trying to do. But compared to the other manga published by Kodansha, it's easy to see why people criticize those early chapters. But okay, instead of talking about what Attack on Titan did poorly, let's look at everything it did right. Because if your goal is to make a manga people can't put down, these lessons are far more valuable than learning anatomy. The first page of your manga is a promise. It's telling the reader this is the kind of story you're about to experience. Attack on Titan wastes almost no time establishing that promise. With the opening pages, we're introduced to giant humanoid monsters, enormous walls protecting humanity, and a world where these creatures are simply accepted as reality. Immediately, you understand what makes this series different. You're not reading a slice of life story, you're reading about humanity's desperate struggle to survive. But here's the important part. Attack on Titan doesn't just make that promise, it immediately starts delivering on it. A lot of beginner manga spend entire chapters introducing school life, explaining the world, or setting up characters before anything interesting happens. Attack on Titan does not do this. The lesson here isn't to start with action, it's to start with the reason someone wanted to read your manga in the first place. If your series is about giant monsters, show them. If it's about detectives solving impossible crimes, show a mystery. Readers should never have to wonder what your story is actually about. Another thing Attack on Titan establishes immediately is consequences. Failure matters. If the walls fall, people die. If soldiers lose, people die. If Eren hesitates, people die. Victory is never guaranteed. That's why every battle feels tense. A lot of beginner stories accidentally remove all tension because failure doesn't really change anything. The protagonist loses, then simply tries again the next chapter. Ask yourself one question. What happens if my protagonist fails? If the answer is not much, your stakes probably aren't high enough. One of the easiest ways to keep someone reading is to make them ask questions. Attack on Titan constantly does this. What are the Titans? Where did they come from? Why are humans trapped behind walls? What's outside the walls? Can the military actually stop them? Even the soldiers who should have all the answers return defeated. That moment is incredibly important. Instead of reassuring the reader that everything is under control, it tells us nobody understands what's happening. But there's something beginners often misunderstand about mystery. Mystery is not confusion. We understand exactly what's happening. Titans eat people, humanity hides behind walls, and the military fights them. The mystery comes from the unanswered questions surrounding that world. Good mystery gives readers enough information to become curious. Bad mystery leaves readers lost. Every answer in Attack on Titan creates another question, and that's what keeps people turning pages. Mystery gets someone to the next chapter. Emotion gets them to finish the series. Eren's motivation is incredibly easy to understand. He wants freedom. He hates living inside the walls. And after watching his mother die, he dedicates his life to destroying the Titans. You don't have to experience that exact situation to understand why he feels that way. Everyone wants something different. Those different goals naturally create conflict, tension, and interesting conversations. Before worrying about cool powers or complicated lore, ask yourself, what does each character want? If every major character has a clear goal, your story becomes much easier to write. This is probably the most overlooked strength of Attack on Titan. Smaller panels are used during action scenes. Your eyes move faster across the page, making the action feel frantic. But there's another trick: contrast. Not every page is exciting. Quiet scenes stay quiet, action scenes explode. If every page tried to be the biggest moment in the story, eventually none of them would feel special. He also does an excellent job leading your eye across the page. Characters look towards the next panel, and movement naturally guides your vision. Important moments receive more space. Even if every drawing isn't perfect, the storytelling is incredibly clear, and readers will forgive rough artwork far sooner than confusing storytelling. Here's the biggest lesson. Isayama didn't wait until he became an incredible artist before starting Attack on Titan. He just started. Then he improved. If you compare the early chapters to the final volumes, the difference is obvious. The anatomy becomes stronger, the expressions improve, and the action becomes even clearer. But here's what's interesting. The storytelling was already compelling from the beginning. That's why readers stayed long enough to watch the artwork improve. This isn't an excuse to ignore drawing. You should absolutely keep practicing. But don't convince yourself that your current skill level is the thing stopping you. Storytelling, pacing, character motivation, mystery, and readability are skills too. And they're often the reason readers keep coming back. Great artwork might convince someone to pick up your manga, but great storytelling is what keeps them reading. So if you've been putting off your manga because you don't think your art is good enough, take this as your sign to start. Keep practicing, keep improving, but don't wait until you're perfect, because one of the most successful manga ever didn't.